And welcome to our December edition of Sports Highlights. Glad you're with us. My name is Greg Bicaveras. Our program airs on Mondays at 7 a.m., 2 p.m., 7 p.m., weekends at 9 a.m. on Cox Cable 47, 517 on linear TV, all over social media, and of course on NNPSTV.com, the same time that says on the screen as well. Our guests for December are Lisa Valentine and Dimitri Batten. Let's start off with Lisa Valentine. She's the head women's lacrosse coach at CNU. Good to see you.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for having me.
How did you get involved in lacrosse?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm originally from Maryland, where it is very popular. You can't really drive down the street without seeing a lacrosse goal in like every other yard. My dad played lacrosse in high school, so it was a sport I was interested in getting involved in. So played soccer most of my life, basketball, swimming, everything. When I got old enough to play lacrosse, I kind of fell in love with it right away.
Right. You went to University of Maryland. How was that experience?
A tremendous experience. I wouldn't be where I am today in my career and my love for the sport without Maryland. It's a very storied program with many, many national championships and a ton of tradition. And so I credit a lot of my success on my time there in Maryland.
And you're right, that state loves lacrosse. I mean, they usually have a lot of Final Fours there for the men. John Hopkins is really good. So there's really a plethora of great teams.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had the opportunity to walk on at University of Maryland, which was a great experience to be able to be challenged, to be able to make such a really successful program.
We'll talk about your time here at CNU. How did it all get started and how have you enjoyed it so far?
Yeah, so I came across CNU because I was actually coaching at a in-conference school. I was at St. Mary's College of Maryland, so I would visit CNU when we would play them. And when the position came open, I explored it a little bit. I came to campus and was kind of blown away with how the campus looked, the resources we provide for our student athletes, the community, and their commitment to excellence. I wanted to be at a place that could sustain success and push its coaches and athletes to get there.
And you're at the right place. I mean, they're a great example of academics, athletics, and activities. And of course, Kyle is really an excellent AD. We had him on the show in the month of December.
Yeah, Kyle's been a wonderful support system. I think he does a really great job of allowing coaches to have their culture within their team and kind of provide all the resources that we need and the support that we need, while also, continuing to push us to win more games and make it further each season.
Yeah, I think the good thing about Kyle is he's not a micromanager. He gives you guys a lot of rope. It's your team within the CNU organization.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you talk about your team. How does it look for the upcoming spring, and who are some of the players you're going to be counting on?
Yeah, we're really excited for this spring. During our fall season, we have an opportunity to practice a handful of times. So to be able to see the group start to come together. We have 13 freshmen this year, so being able to integrate all of them was a challenge, but they bring a lot of energy and excitement. I'm really fortunate we return 10 of our 12 starters from the previous season. And so we have a lot of experience, including 3 returning team captains. So our leadership on top of our talent is in a perfect spot.
Right. This is Lisa Valentine. She's our guest. She's the head women's lacrosse coach at CNU, and CNU does also have a men's lacrosse team too,
yes,
as well.
Uh-huh.
Do you ever practice with them?
We do not. The games are actually really different. They can hit a little bit more. The fields are different sizes. Everything's very different. But their head coach, Mikey, and I work together well, and we definitely support each other's success. They made it to the Final Four last season.
What are some of your players that stand out over the years when you were a student at Maryland and also now at CNU?
Yeah, I think what we preach in our program and the players that I've seen be most successful are those that love the game. The game of lacrosse is really unique. And those players that love it and have a passion for the game itself and willing to put in that extra work because they just love having a stick in their hand are always the most successful when it comes from a place of passion.
Yeah, it's a lot of times it's the before and after. I mean, anybody can show up at practice, but you're playing college lacrosse at an excellent program, men and women's both, and really it's what you always say matched effort, matched energy.
Absolutely. I take a lot of pride in when I show up to work every day. There's always a coach coming through the hallway saying, I saw some of your girls out there shooting around. I saw your girls always running. And I really just love that they have that work ethic outside. That's really what makes us most successful.
And the camaraderie too, that they have to communicate with each other, and be friends too. I mean, you really almost have to be friends because communication is so important, because if somebody's having an issue, it affects the whole team.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a close-knit group. They are hysterical and love to laugh. We kind of joke that we want to be equal parts hardworking and fun, and they definitely have the fun aspect.
Now, recruiting is not easy for you because you're always on the road. We talked about that earlier. And of course, there's not a whole lot of lacrosse in this area. Virginia Beach has a little bit because they're a big city. But talk about the challenges of recruiting outside of this area code.
Yeah, so we do travel a lot. I travel, my staff, every weekend from Memorial Day to August, and then most weekends in October and all the way through November. We're traveling to big tournaments in North Carolina, Maryland, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. We're headed to Florida in 2 weeks, up to Connecticut, New York, all over the place, looking to recruit student athletes and bring them down to campus. CNU being a state school, bringing in out-of-state students can be an extra challenge, but we've had a lot of success. Over half my roster is from Maryland, and then we've got players from as far as Washington State, Massachusetts, New Jersey, North Carolina, so we've got players from all over, but recruiting is really the lifeline of the program.
Yeah, and CNU's got some excellent housing as well. That helps.
Yeah, that definitely helps.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that too, folks. It just shows you we live in a digital world, but it's hard to meet, it's hard to communicate with somebody online only by the website or by FaceTime or Messenger. Face-to-face recruiting is still number one. Like, wow, you took the time to go see a young lady play. That impresses her parents, the coaches, and her teammates too.
Yeah, absolutely. That in-person evaluation is the most important. That's really the big first step. This weekend at the tournament, I will evaluate between 80 and 100 players that have reached out to us in just Saturday and Sunday, while my assistant is off at another tournament with similar numbers as well. So it's kind of sorting through those evaluations and bringing those players that are the best fit, both talent and personality-wise, down to campus. Once they get on campus, it's a little bit easier once they see how much we have to offer.
That's a great example. Even though the season's over, you're still just as busy off campus recruiting.
Yes, absolutely. I enjoy the travel. I get to see my family a little bit since a lot of our recruiting is in Maryland. But I miss sometimes being away from my own house and my team. I'll miss them for the next 2 weeks.
So there's no place like home. Dorothy was right. This is our December edition of Sports Highlights. Greg Bicaveras talking to Lisa Valentine, head women's lacrosse coach at CNU. Talk about your conference and some of the teams that stand out.
Yeah, so we are in the Coast to Coast Conference for women's lacrosse. It is on the smaller side. We have Salisbury, Mary Washington, and Warren Wilson in our conference. So we'll compete against Salisbury and Mary Washington each year, and then based on our seeding have our conference tournament. But the smaller conference allows us a lot of flexibility with scheduling. I'm tasked with scheduling 15 out-of-conference games, so we get the opportunity to travel all over the place. We're headed this spring to Ohio. We're headed down to Florida to play a team from New York on spring break, which will be exciting. We're actually going to be hitting 6 different states, traveling all over, which will be great team bonding during all that travel.
Oh yeah, and of course your assistant plays a part in it too, correct?
Yeah, my assistant Rebecca, she was just promoted to assistant head coach this summer, so we're really excited. She's been with me for 8 of the 9 years that I've been at CNU, and that consistency in coaching I think has contributed a lot to our success.
Had you ever thought about reaching out to somebody from Maryland that you played with, and when you first got the job, like, look, I need an assistant? Would that ever cross your mind?
I didn't. There's so many Terps that are out there coaching their own programs. When we get to our coaching convention, there's always a ton of Terps around, so everyone's kind of off doing their own thing. I had reached out to some players that I knew that had played at other universities that maybe I coached when they were younger, but Rebecca kind of fell into our lap. She was actually over across the water at Virginia Wesleyan, and then came over to join my staff, which has been a blessing.
Right, of course. Talk about some of the challenges playing at home than playing on the road, because there's a lot of distractions now.
Yeah.
People are connected a lot to their phone, but you can't practice on your phone. You can't do a whole lot on your phone. You still have to physically be fit. It's a very rigorous sport.
Yeah, absolutely. We love playing at home. We have Jennings Family Stadium, which is now in its going to be fourth season, and it's an incredible place to play. We take a lot of pride in being able to play at home. At times it can be easier to travel for college students. That bus time is like a forced separation from the classroom. They can't worry about their schoolwork. They can't be distracted. That bus ride can really be a time for them to focus. Sometimes for home games, they're running right from class, getting their ankles taped and jumping on the field. There's not as much room for the mental preparation. So there's challenges that come with both.
Right. What advice would you give to a young lady that wants to play lacrosse in college that really doesn't have that opportunity? Of course, camps are very big.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. The communication with coaches is most important. We're not just going to come across you. You need to express interest to us, whether that's on email, a little bit on social media, it's happening now, and then getting an opportunity to come to campus for a clinic or a camp. I always say that is your best opportunity for me to be able to have that chance to coach you. And also gives you an opportunity to evaluate us as a coach. Do you like our style of play? Do you like the drills that we're doing? Do you feel motivated and inspired by us? Because it's got to be a two-way street in terms of connection.
Absolutely. Let's talk about your style of play offensively and defensively.
Yeah, absolutely. We like to play a fast style overall. On the defensive end, we are looking to cause a lot of turnovers and disrupt play. We're not the kind of team that's going to sit back and let you do your work. We're going to make you play faster. We're going to force you to make some mistakes. And then we want to transition the ball really quickly through the air, as we say, move the ball as fast as we can to push kind of those numbers up situations offensively.
And I'm sure you remember this in Maryland too. You never want to show the opposing team everything on film. You want to save some tricks on game day because game day takes on a totally different scenario.
Yeah, there's so much scouting that goes into it these days. So having things in our back pocket to be prepared for certain things that they're doing.
Right. What about the postseason tournament? I mean, it's all still the same cliche, one game at a time, stay in your lane for that one game and then go from there.
Yeah. Last year, actually, we earned a bid to the NCAA tournament for the first time in 10 years. And we were fortunate enough to come away with a first round victory as well. And so that was a new challenge for my team of playing in May, knowing that we would have back-to-back games if we were to win. And being able to stay focused on that very first game, which we competed against Johnson and Wales.
And it's pretty simple for the basic equipment. Talk about the equipment real quick. A young girl needs to practice on her own.
Yeah, the equipment honestly is one of the things that we kind of refer to as a barrier of entry to lacrosse because it is expensive equipment. A lacrosse stick. In the women's side, we wear goggles as well, and then obviously balls and things like that. Cleats.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. Well, thank you for your time, and of course, we wish you all the best in 24. It's hard to believe we're a few months away from starting your season again.
13 weeks till we start practice.
Exactly. We'll have a great holiday season, and we look forward to talking to you again.
Absolutely. Thanks, Greg.
Very good. That's Lisa Valentine. She's the head women's lacrosse coach at CNU. She's a former Terp, doing a great job with the captain. Stay tuned for our next guest on our December show of Sports Highlights.
You're watching NNPS TV. Catch sports highlights on Mondays at 7, 2, and 7, and on Saturdays and Sundays at 9 a.m. Visit us online at nnpstv.com to view all your favorite episodes. NNPS TV, watching education happen.
I've been rising up and advancing in my classes.
I've been rising up to be the best student athlete I can be.
I'm rising up as a leader in my school.
I'm rising up to prepare for my future career.
We are all rising up and preparing ourselves for success, thanks to our dedicated teachers and staff in Newport News Public Schools.
Rise up!
And welcome back to our second part of our December holiday edition show of Sports Highlights. Glad you're with us since February of 1992. Greg Bicaveras with you. And of course, hope you enjoyed our first guest, Lisa Valentine. It's a great pleasure now to introduce Dimitri Batten. He's the head boys basketball coach at Heritage High School. Good to see you, Dimitri.
Good to see you too.
Very good. Dimitri, by the way, means Jim or Jimmy in Greek, but that's my dad's name as well. So let's talk about you. Of course, you played high school basketball at Heritage. You grew up in Newport News. I'm sure that was a big treat for you back then.
Yes, it was.
Well, talk about it. Talk about your time at Heritage.
It was a fun time. It helped me grow as a young athlete. It just showed me it's just a different light of how you have to go get things yourself and just the people around you. It was a big village support system. It was all around. I mean, I loved it.
Well, I remember one thing too about you specifically is no matter how many times you shot, you would never get discouraged in high school. You would keep on shooting, and you were good about moving on. Like in life, if you have a distraction, you just got to keep moving on. And the sports parallels in life go hand in hand.
Yes.
We'll talk about that, what you enjoyed the most.
Just moving on. I mean, I teach my players that now, but it was a coach, Stanley Bland. He told me that. He was just saying, hey, man, you only could miss the shots that you shoot. So I just continue to shoot the ball and just forget it. I mean, with life too, I mean, you make mistakes, but you just gotta kind of move on and help and change the mistakes that you made. So I just kind of day-to-day thing.
Well, let's talk about it too. You did play for Heritage. You played for several years, but you decided at the end to go towards Kickintan. Of course, a lot of that had to do with coaching too. Talk about that.
Well, when I made the transition of leaving Heritage High School, Coach Katufis, he was my coach for 3 years, and he happened to step down and say he wasn't coaching no more. So I just made the change, and I opened myself up to going to Kickintan. Coach Ivan Thomas was my coach, would kind of talk to me, and I was open to going. Just something different. It was a change. I moved to Hampton at the time, so I was open to going there. They was kind of on a roll. My cousin had played there a year before, so I kind of wanted to follow and see what it was like to go just a different place. I didn't want to join everybody else like to go to Bethel or Hampton like that. I just wanted to start my own legacy at Kickintan.
Right, and you did, but how was it playing against your past team at Heritage? Was that tough that first time, or they kind of knew the expectations, some of the younger kids?
It was kind of tough. Going into there, Coach told me, just calm down, just feel like it's a regular game. I mean, kind of struggled like the first couple of minutes where I was missing shots, I missed a dunk. Then I kind of settled down. My team was like, it's okay, like you got it. So after that, it was just a trickle-down effect. A 3 after 3, a dunk, and one. It just, I mean, kind of different. I had never witnessed somebody coming in somebody's old house and they booing you, like old students, teammates, and stuff like that. But, I mean, it comes with the territory. So I just embraced it and made a lot of it.
You've always been confident, and you've always been, ever since you were a kid, you've always been confident. You've always brushed that aside. But you were kind of like the unique unicorn too, because a lot of people now transfer in college all the time, and they transfer in high school, even, you hate to say it, but it happens in high school too, high school and college. But not only there, you went to Old Dominion, you played for several years, and then toward the end, you decided for another eligibility to go to Boston College. You played in several different leagues, and talk about the good moments at ODU.
It was great, man. That was when I first got to campus. Everybody open arms. It was different atmosphere. My teammates to the coaches. Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I mean, it was anytime I wanted to get in the gym, the access, from playing in the CAA, just playing home where my family and friends could see me play. It was great, man. And then, I mean, coaching changed, things changed, so I just decided to, leave and go play somewhere else. I went to Boston College, so ODU, I still go back to their games now because, I mean, just the fan base, and it just feel like home to me.
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about the coaches you played for at Old Dominion.
Blaine Taylor, I love him to death, man. He has a whole bunch of different stories, saying and stuff like that, but it was nothing to hurt you. It was just to get under your skin, to bring the best out of you. And I appreciate to him. I talk to him daily. He just texted me this morning, so it was just loving. Jeff was a different guy that was same but hands on and wanted the best for you, and continues still doing great now at Old Dominion. So he was a great coach too. And then in transition, when I transferred to play with Jim Christian at Boston College, he just told me to be myself. He was like, he didn't bring me in here to pass the ball and make plays for everybody else, make plays for myself, and kind of change the culture. That's what he told me out of his exact words. I want you to change the culture here at Boston College, and I went up there and did that for that year.
Well, yeah, let's just say this front and center. The competition you played in the CAA and, of course, Conference USA was totally different from the ACC.
Right.
Let me ask you specifically, playing against Syracuse, how was that? That's a very difficult team to play against back then with their tall players playing the zone. You really never experienced a whole lot of that. How was that against Syracuse?
It was different, man. You got 6'8", 6'9" at the wings playing a 2-3 zone. So if you can't shoot or get in the inside paint, you're going to struggle. But, I mean, you had to study inside out. We have film all the time. They drop things to your tablet where you didn't know what the next person did. You knew everything. So it was just it was different. The resources was better. So it prepared me for playing for Syracuse, Carolina, NC State, for anybody in ACC. I mean, mid-major was tough, but ACC is much tougher. I say it was one of the best conferences to this day still out there. So.
Right, because you played against a lot of former NBA players that went on to the NBA.
Yeah.
You didn't see a whole lot in the Conference USA, but you did in the ACC.
Yeah, like played against Terry Rozier that still played for Charlotte now. Played against Marcus Page. Justin Winslow, Tyus Jones. I played against Cat Barber, that's from here. I played against him. Like a lot of tough guys that doing well and still playing overseas or in the NBA. I mean, it was in and out every game. It was a battle.
Yeah, but you got a lot of experience at both schools, at Old Dominion and Boston College, talking to Dimitri Batten. He's the head boys basketball coach at Heritage. Talk about who do you expect this year to be some of your top opponents?
I mean, everybody. It's the Peninsula District. I mean, it's never a dull moment here, and I could say we could be arguably one of the top districts in the area. That's each night you'll never know who win. Everybody will say this team, that team, but it's just tough. It's just whoever kids come to play that night, leave it all out there. I mean, I can't say just one team. I say the whole district, honestly.
Yeah, because you look at it, Woodside won the state championship.
Yes.
They're a rival of yours when you played at Heritage, too. And, of course, Menchville's very good. So there's no night off, whether you're playing a Newport News school or a Hampton school.
Right.
We'll talk about what you expect and some of the key players on your team this year.
Devon Lassiter, he's a senior this year. I expect him to lead the team on and off the court. He's a great kid, and, I expect him to take a lot of big shots and, just lead the group by example. He's a third-year varsity player that's understanding and know what to take to do. I have a freshman, Makai Watkins. I look for him to grow and mature as he continues to do day by day. I look for him to step up and, take big shots and make key plays for us as well. And I have a kid, Mikey Atkins, a 6'6" kid. I expect him to play big and, do what he do. I mean, it's just not just one kid. I feel like this team is a lot different from last year. I had 6 to 7, 8 guys. I have some returners, Derek Gurley, Jordan Cunningham that's coming. That's there to help us out from the football field. I have Devin Gray, that's a good defender that I feel like it helps us. I mean, Heritage would be a little different this year, that it's all together.
Does it take a while for a football player to get used to playing basketball after playing football during the summer and the fall?
Not necessarily. It's just it depends on the athlete, the kid that's willing to, get in the basketball shape and take pride and to do what you got to do to get there to basketball shape. So it's all just depending on the athlete.
And one good thing about you, when you were a kid, you used to like to shoot on your own.
Yes.
You love doing that with nobody around sometimes, and that's good. That's the good thing about basketball is one thing is going to practice, but what are you doing away from practice to improve? And you always did that, and I'm sure you're going to instill that on your kids too.
Well, I mean, I tell them every day when we practice 2.5 hours, what are y'all doing for the rest of the hours? Are you running for 20, 30 minutes? Are you ball handling? Like, it's a constant thing. I text them every day. What have you done to get better? What have you done to prepare yourself for this practice? What have you done to prepare yourself for this workout? or even the classroom to the sense, because student come before athlete. So that's one thing I preach to them daily.
And that good thing too is you can learn from your coaches in high school and college and kind of use your own game plan for practice and games, because each team you got to prepare for differently on game day, correct?
Right.
Yeah, what do you expect as far as you talk about the practice, then the game day, then the summertime when they get ready for summer camp? All that's important. It's not just the basketball season. The season now is 12 months. So you played some AAU basketball, of course, and it's really you went to camps too. Mm-hmm. So really, it's not something you can just show up on practice and start your season end of November, December. The first quarter of 2024 to win a state championship. You got to grind.
Right. I mean, it takes preseason, off season. It just take a different beast. I mean, if you working at your game, you have the end result come March of what you should expect to, be at that last game. Because like last year, I asked the guys before the season, I said, hey, man, what is y'all goal? Hey, coach, it's just to finish out the season. So we come to be in January, February, we in talks of making a regional. So we playing the first regional game. I said, now it's 0-0. What is y'all goal now? Coach, we just trying to still finish out and go to states. We did it. So the last game of the season, we go to states, we fall short to Rivanna by 4 points. And I asked him after the game, man, I said, I'm proud of y'all. Nah, coach, we lost. I said, I'm still proud of you because what you told me before the season, this wasn't your goal. So you reached a goal that you didn't know you could reach. And then a lot of them, broke down. It's just the care, man. And when you care about the kids, you get a different approach. You get a different mindset from the kids. It's just things that I love, man. I love coaching at Heritage.
And they take on your vibe. The players take on the vibe of the head coach. Real quick, 30 seconds. Talk about what type of offense you're going to run and what type of defense.
Offensively, I haven't decided yet. And defensively, I don't know. I don't know who listened to it, but I can't tell my schemes or what I'm going to do. You kind of got to see November 28th for what you're going to see from Heritage.
They'll be mixed up every game, I'm sure. All
yeah,
right.
It'll be something different.
Very good. All right, Dimitri, all the best to you, my friend. You went to Heritage, Kickingham, Old Dominion, and BC. A great basketball mix. All the best this season.
All right, thank you, sir.
Very good. Hope you enjoyed our December show right there. Fun-filled show with Lisa Valentine and Dimitri Batten, our great crew right here for Sports Highlights on our December edition. Happy holidays. For Ray Price, I'm Greg Bicaveras. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon.